welcome back. Tales from the Cassette. I think we're on episode number 9. I think. I'm Jeff Beach.
I'm Joey Graves.
And we're going to do another album review. So we enjoyed doing an album review. We did Kisses, Lick It Up, right back there, last one. And today we're going to go and we're going to stay in the 80s. Actually, we're going to go about 1 year later. And we're going to do an album from Toto, Isolation.
A rare, known, and respected gem from Toto.
Yes, very much so. And an unusual album. Underappreciated. Probably an unknown for a lot of just casual Toto people. When they hear the name Toto, there's probably not a single song on here that would come to mind. And even though they did have one hit, most people, if they're not big Toto fans, probably don't know it at all. But a very underappreciated album. One of our favorite albums. I've got it sitting right here. Every time I see this album cover, it reminds me that we did an art project in high school and did this album cover.
I do not remember that.
I remember it because I had such lack of creativity that I had to take your idea. And it was this album because it was, black and white, creative. So, but I think if we're going to talk about this album, then we kind of got to talk about what was going on before this album, because it was a sort of a unusual time for them. Unusual as in they got big.
They got really big.
So just a quick history of Toto. So, of course, their debut album with Hold the Line, which people know. Good debut album. Toto, if you're not aware, I know you're aware, but is made up, basically, they were session players scattered all around the music industry, and they came together and decided they could be a band. And became a very good band. And their first album in 1978, I think it was, with Hold the Line, was successful. And then their next album, Hydra, had a couple of songs, not quite as successful, kind of an art project album.
Yeah, I didn't care much for that one.
People, if you've heard 99, that's a song that gets played on yacht rock radio, even though it's not a yacht rock song. You'll hear that. And then their third album, Turn Back, is a complete unknown. In fact, for the longest time, the record was in the cutout bins and hard to find. And there's not a single song on there that was a hit that I'm aware of. Yeah.
No.
So going into Toto, their fourth album, which they called Toto IV, the record company was like, okay, it is time for some hits or you guys are about done. And they outdid themselves. So Toto IV came out in 1982, and it was their lead single went all the way up to number 2. I can't remember for sure what was blocking it, but it probably was a Michael Jackson song since Thriller was out around that time. And then they did have a number 1 hit with Africa. That they won Grammy Awards for this album. They were Album of the Year, Producer of the Year, Record of the Year for Rosanna. They were monsters all around the world. So they had a huge band. The funny thing is, I was researching this topic today. They did not tour at all for Toto IV.
Huh.
Yeah. And they were busy. They all played on different albums in the industry. A bunch of the guys played on Thriller. So they're heard throughout on that album, and they wrote some of the songs. And so they were busy. They just did not tour for that album. But they released 6 songs from Toto IV.
Yeah, that's amazing to me. Like 6 singles. I mean, how many did Thriller have? I wonder.
That had like 9.
Oh, really?
That had a lot because they just kept releasing. They just kept releasing. But the last one that charted from Toto IV was, I got it right here, and it was, oh, hold on, those are albums. Let me get to the singles. The last one to single to chart was, the bigger one was I Won't Hold You Back. And then Waiting for Your Love was the last one they released. And made number 27 in the adult contemporary chart. So you got this great period, big album, monster album. They go back into the studio, and it doesn't sound like it was that easy. They were the lead singer from Toto IV, and I guess their previous albums, apparently developed a habit.
Yeah, that was about early 80s. Yeah.
He was kind of a mess.
The story that we've heard play out one too many times with these bands in the 80s.
Yep, and we've talked about that. And so Toto Isolation is their fifth album. And so they were in the midst of putting this together, and they were in the midst of putting it together with him because he is a co-writer on at least one song, and he's listed as a background singer on a couple of the songs. But in the reading, there's not a lot of detail, but he was recording some of these songs, but he was involved in way too many things. I think there were some other incidents besides the drugs. So they go get a new singer. Fergie
Fredrickson. I guess that's it.
Is that how you say it? Fredrickson?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right. Yeah. Fred Erickson. How about
Fred Erickson? Yeah, Fred Erickson. There you
go. So they go get Fred Erickson, who, funny enough, until I just started listening on my Spotify to all kinds of songs, and when I finish an album I'm listening to, it jumps into like similar music. And one time it jumps to a song that I wasn't familiar with, and I'm listening to it, and I look and I'm like, it's from a band, LaRue. And I'm like, this voice sounds familiar. And I looked it up and didn't realize that was him on Isolation. So they go get him and put together an album that sounds 100%, at least I think it sounds 100% different than Toto IV, all the way through, except for maybe one song or two songs.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly a more mature. I don't know if it's more mature. Maybe it's this album Isolation is more of the times. Mm-hmm. Synthesizers. I think more prominent than they were in past albums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny when I was reading this and like reading some other reviews of it. It's interesting that people said it was a lot like a Journey album from the 80s.
Yeah, I read that as well.
Yeah, I didn't really see that, but I get what they're saying. It was very much of an 80s rock band type album. So, but very different from Toto IV. And it's in, kind of talking about Toto, and we've talked about them a couple times on our show. You go through their albums, and especially later in the 80s and the 90s, every album is very different, I think. And, there are some albums of theirs I really like, and then there's some albums that I'm not a huge fan of because sometimes they turned it into, just pure guitar rock. And they, of course, Steve Lukather is their leader. He is the guiding force behind that band. Just a quick diversion. I've seen them live a few times, and they're awesome live.
Well, they're session musicians for a reason, right?
They're awesome live. I've seen them a few times. I saw them open for Journey on a tour, I guess it was last year, year before, and they were great there. I've seen them elsewhere a couple times. I saw them with Yes, like 5 or 6 years ago, in California, in this like winery open air place, and they were just great. They were just outstanding. That was who I wanted to see. Yes, actually. They opened for Yes. I guess they were kind of touring together. But they were awesome. Awesome. And they have announced a tour for 2025.
Yes. I can't remember. Is it the Men at Work?
Mm-hmm.
Men at Work
and Christopher Cross.
Christopher Cross, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I sent that link to you the day that it was announced.
I know. Yeah. It's that could be good. That could be good. I like to see them in smaller venues. That's the only thing. They're going to be in the big River Bend. That's okay. Got to be close to them. But they're still good. So they go get this new singer. They still have the driving force of the band. And of course, there is, a number of musicians in this band. Their bass player, David Hungate, left after Toto IV, but they got another Porcaro brother. So now they have three Porcaro. Yeah. 3 of them in the band. So those are well known. Bobby Kimball's out. They get Fred
Erickson.
I thought it was interesting in the research that they wanted Richard Page from Mr.
Mister, yeah. And also, what's his name? The lead singer from Eric Martin from Mr. Big.
Yep, I saw that too.
That was surprising.
So they go do this, and they put together this album that you and I listened to this album when it came out, and I think loved it then. I've always loved it. If you asked me to go pull a Toto album out, this is the one I pull out to listen to.
I would say this one and Toto IV.
Yeah, this one, and it doesn't. As we said, it doesn't really have the hits. In fact, let me pull my list up here again. So they did. Oh shoot! I lost my place. Here it is. So they did. So they come back after that huge year, all the Grammy awards. They release "Stranger in Town" off this. I remember this music video. I don't remember any others. And it made it to number 30 on the charts. Which again, if I walked out and asked somebody in the house here if they knew "Stranger in Town" by Toto, they would not.
No.
They would not. It does not get played on the radio anymore, even though most radio stations on Sirius XM play Toto in some fashion. That one does not.
Again, like you stated, that I remember the video very vividly.
Mm-hmm.
Great video, like a story.
Yeah, cool video
of a loner or a criminal, whoever he was,
mm-hmm.
running away from the authorities and going into a barn and kids finding him, and I guess it's a great video.
It is a good video.
Black and white.
Yeah, black and white. Now I guess officially they released 4 songs from this, and they must have just released them, kind of throwing them out there. They released Holyanna, which kind of fits their Toto IV song footprint. They released Endless, which is a very good song, and was the one, if you do, and you probably saw in your research as well, that was the one they wanted to release first, and their record company said no. and then they released before that was How Does It Feel, and that is a great ballad.
Yeah, Steve Lukather singing,
great ballad, very good, and but no big hits on this, and so it eventually went gold, but did not, would not be considered successful based on their previous, considering how big of a band they were, at the Grammys in 1983.
But Stranger in Town is just, it's one of those songs to me, of course, I grew up with listening to it, but
Mm-hmm.
And appreciating it 40 years ago.
Yep.
But Stranger in Town is just a wonderful song.
It is.
It's a well written song, well produced song, well arranged. I mean, it's arranged well. It's almost the perfect song.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go through the songs, and then we'll get to that one in order. It is on side one, but we'll start, which might be one of my favorite songs on the album. Is Carmen.
Really?
Yeah, I think it is a really good song. It is another song of, I'm assuming, a female person who they like to put on almost all their albums. They have a female singer's name on at least 5 albums that I'm aware of.
Well, there's a, isn't it like Holyanna, which is later on in the album.
Yes.
You got Rosanna, Pamela,
Anna,
and
and Carmen.
So they certainly have. I think, is there a name of a person on every album?
I don't know. I'll have to do that. Yeah.
Leave it in the leave your answer in the comment.
All right. I'll do that. And then so Carmen. So their new singer and Fergie and David Page, and I think I'm saying that right. I did go look. Wrote this song, and so David Page, of course, he's the guy that sings Africa, and they trade off vocals on this song. So I think it's a great rock song. Really sets, if you want to know if you'll like this album or not, listen to this song, because if you like this song, or at least like the tone of this song, you'll like the album, because they all kind of flow off of that song.
It's a good song. It's a good song to begin the album. Up tempo.
Trading vocals.
It's a good opener.
It's funny when I mentioned I've seen them in concert, and they're, since they're session players, they like to jam when they're in concert. Not all bands do that, but this is the one album that I thought that they did a lot of that in their songs. So instead of kind of the song, the choruses and all that, and the bridges, and then they have guitar solo, they'll do like extra solos or keyboard solos, or a breakdown of a song, a lot more on this album than I thought they did on some of their other stuff, especially leading into this album.
But they're not solos that last for 4 minutes.
But they're very varied, and it's funny. I mean, they have 2 keyboardists, which is unusual. On this album, they got 2 keyboardists that are prominent, play a prominent role, and so there's a lot of keyboards on here, but it's not overwhelming. I mean, this is more of a rock album than Toto IV. There's a lot of guitar on these songs. And then leading to that, I think there's a lot of guitar on the second song, Lion.
Yep.
Yes. So, Bobby Kimball, we talked about a moment. He wrote this song with David Page. I think he's credited with some background vocals on this one as well.
I think I read on Wikipedia that according to Steve Lukather, that this is the only song that they actually recorded a vocal from Bobby.
Yes.
But Bobby says he recorded vocals for the entire album. And, but who knows? Who
knows? Yeah. Now the rumor was that Bobby recorded Carmen, so he was the one trading off, and Lion, and others to come, that he recorded Endless and Change of Heart. That was his rumor.
Endless is pretty. It's some of the vocals are pretty high. I mean, they would had to tune down on that one for Bobby. But
what do you think of Lion?
It's good. I enjoy it. I don't think there was a bad song on the album. I do believe that the second side is stronger than the first side.
Yeah.
Other than Stranger in Town.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah, you've got so you got Lion. I think Carmen started out really well. Lion, I can remember back having this, and of course it was a cassette tape back in the day. So I would usually listen to Carmen, then I would try to fast, forward through Lion, and then I thought was okay, and then to get to Stranger in Town, which was a great song. This was a song, of course, would see it on MTV, and as you mentioned, the video was great. It did get some video play. I mean, I can remember this video vividly, and seeing it on there. It's funny, the band's not in the video really much at all.
There are flashes of a few of them.
Yeah, not much. Now it's funny, I couldn't find it. I was looking for it for this discussion today, but I swear that I've seen an interview where Lukather was so pissed off at the record company and they were deciding everything. And they said, well, you got to do a music video, that they were like, okay. And they basically did that on purpose. They were like, we're not going to put the band in the video to really, give you the middle finger. But I couldn't find it on the, kind of the backup where I was just going to verify everything. And so, but, that's been a common theme in a lot of our shows, is the record company screwing up the band. So, but yeah, this is a fun song. It's funny. There is the video to this song. The song is slightly different than the album version. Did you know that? In the video, so late in the song itself, they go, hey, or hey.
Oh, yeah.
In the video.
Yeah, the live version, yeah.
Yeah, the video, they go, hey, there's many of them. So, and it's funny. So I've gone looking for that. Can't find it. Or at least I've not been able to find it. So I don't know if they released that version or if that was only a video version. But if you go listen to the video, it's different than what's on the album.
Yeah, well, they do it on the live version as well. They do the hey.
Yeah. So they did that, which I like. But yeah, you can't find it. There's no hidden track. There's no album version out there of Stranger in Town. So one of the Porcaros wrote this. Jeff Porcaro, actually, with David Page. Jeff was the drummer, and then he passed away, I think, in the 90s.
Yeah, he was really pretty young.
Great drummer. All right, move to the next one. Angel Don't Cry.
I think this is my second favorite on the first side.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yep, it's a good song, and Fergie his voice is I think is featured on this album, and it's the centerpiece of this, or the centerpiece of this song is his vocals.
Yeah, this is more of a rock song. This would be a song that if you played it for somebody, they'd be like, and you're like, hey, this is Toto, and it would kind of throw them off. Yeah, this is kind of a rock song, and that they're capable of doing. This is, I like this song a lot, and you're right, his vocal range on this is really good. It's kind of fun, and I guess the reason this album maybe is so much different, in addition, it's a rocker, lots of rock songs, but his voice is so distinct, and then he's only on there for one album.
Yeah, his range is unbelievable.
Yeah, their next album, I mean, it's funny, I can remember going and buying their next album, Fahrenheit, expecting to get more of this, and being extremely disappointed that Fahrenheit was nothing like this album whatsoever. Nothing.
Well, again, it's when it didn't sell as well as the Toto IV, I guess they decided that, hey, it's broken, let's try to fix it.
Yes.
And I don't think the next album sold that well either.
No, it did have the next one, I mean, just to jump there, I mean, it did have the hit I'll Be Over You, which I think was a real hit for them. So yeah, I think they were a little more successful coming into that one. But all right, so Angel Don't Cry. Now I think the next song, the final song on side one, does sound like a Toto song, and that is How Does It Feel?
Yep. Steve Lukather singing. It's a good song. I mean, he's got a great voice as well. He's, in any other band, he could probably be the lead singer. But he only sings 1 or 2 songs an album on Toto's album. So
yeah, I mean, we're talking about "I'll Be Over You," and that was a hit, and so that song got a lot of airplay, got a lot of video play on MTV, and I think it's a lot like this song.
Oh, yeah, very much.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like this song, and this song did not do well. I think at this point, I think by the time the record company released "Stranger in Town," and the band wanted to release "Endless," and by the time they got to this, everybody was like, "We're done." No promotion. And that once they realized the album wasn't going to sell.
Right. Well, we go on the Endless on the first song on the second side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that could be a single. That doesn't sound like a single to me.
Mm-mm.
It's a good song, great song. I really enjoy it, but
yeah,
it doesn't sound like a single.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a single that could be released at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's at fault. I guess record company, but
yeah. I mean, you think of it now, the way they do releases and songs, and the bands really control what they do. I could see them doing stuff like that now. That would be a great song, if the band was doing stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to release this one. This shows off our talent," and nobody really cares. The company's not telling them what to do anymore. But yeah, this one it is. I like the vocals on this. I like the music on this. It's got some guitar to it, lots of keyboards. It's a good rock song.
But just not a single.
Not a single. Yeah, not a single. The next song might be, and I saw this somewhere else too, so I'll kind of steal it, but it might be probably my least favorite on the album, and that's the actual title track, "Isolation."
I like it.
You like it? Okay. Why do you like it?
Again, I think it goes back to Fergie's vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's the bridge in the song kind of breaks it up. Mm-hmm. and really makes the song whole. I just think it's a well-written song.
Yeah. I thought it was okay. I mean, it's another one. It's kind of like the song on the first side, "Lion," that I would kind of skip over if it was. It's kind of it's a lot like a lot of these songs on here. It's like you listen to that. That's like most people would be like, that doesn't sound like Toto. Not really at all. The next song I think is very interesting. Is "Mr. Friendly."
Yeah, Mr. Friendly. Also sung by Fergie.
Fergie. Yep.
And pretty much written by the entire band.
Lots of the band members contributed to this one. Fergie sings this one. This is a nice. I think this song does this one, and the next one we'll talk about in a second. Does a nice job of like blending various Toto music into one song, and there's a lot going on here. It starts out fast and lots of drums and guitar, and then in the middle you got a lot of the keyboards and this is where I was talking about where they're kind of like jamming in the middle of this song. They do a little bit of that, near the end of the song. Like they're just in the studio having fun and they're just jamming and they put it on the song.
Yeah, it's a good song and I enjoy it. I enjoyed the entire second side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the next song, "Change of Heart," plays into that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, and this is probably more of a Toto song than "Mr. Friendly" because they're singing together. Again, it's another guitar leading off song, and then in keyboards, and then they've got another jam session in the middle of the song. Not, as you said, not long, but for a moment there, they're kind of going back and forth, and you can. Probably back in the day, I didn't realize there were 2 keyboardists because who does that?
Right. Well, when you say, sometimes when we talk about jamming,
yeah,
like it's not a Grateful Dead jam where it lasts 17 minutes.
No, it's like 30 seconds.
Yeah, like 30 seconds, 30-second jam, but it fits well within the song.
Yeah,
I guess it enabled them to showcase their musical talents, I guess.
Talents. So because you listen to this and just hear their talents, but it's funny. Yeah, I probably didn't know back in the day that there were two keyboardists, and it's like because there's a lot going on in those songs. And now that when I was listening to it, last week when we talked about doing this, I was like, oh yeah, now you can tell, they're not overdubbing all this kind of stuff. There's actually multiple musicians playing on the song, and they're doing a whole bunch of different things. Yeah, I like that. You're right. Second side is really good, and then they end with another song that's kind of like something that could have been on Toto IV.
Yeah,
Holyanna.
Well, because they had Rosanna, so they couldn't use Holyanna.
I guess so. Yeah, it's funny, and like reading commentary from other people and all that. A lot of people don't like this song. I thought it was a really good song, and sounds like a Toto song. Yeah,
I enjoy it.
David Page sings it, so you got the voice from Africa singing it, and I think they do a really good job, and it sounds like a lot like a Toto song, a lot of piano. It is very different though. Like if you're rolling from Endless and Isolation and Mr. Friendly and Change of Heart, and then Holyanna, it's kind of an abrupt change right there.
Yeah, it was bothering me. I was going to go album to album and see if I can figure out this.
That's going to be the trivia question for when we start the next one.
I almost think they do. Almost every. I had it. And let's see. So Toto, 1978 Toto.
Yeah. There it is right there.
Angela,
yeah.
So you got Angela on that one.
Turn Back.
Hydra, you got.
I'll go to Turn Back while you're at.
I know Lorraine.
Yeah, on Turn Back, the next one, there's Goodbye Eleanor, and that's it on that one.
On Toto IV, you got Rosanna.
Yeah, and then
Isolation at Carmen and Holyanna. Fahrenheit, you have Leia.
Yeah.
Seventh
one, you had Pamela.
Yeah. Is there any other ones on?
Well, then you kind of got, then they kind of went off, and Bobby Kimball was gone, and the record company forced a singer on them, so they kind of went down another path for a while. So they got away from that for a little bit.
But all the way through the 80s, every album had at least one. At least one.
Yeah. They had Kingdom of Desire came out in the early 90s, which I'm still not a huge fan of the album. And but I don't see a girl's name on there.
Well, see, that's when they went downhill.
I don't see a name on there. So I don't think. Yeah, I don't see. Oh, Melanie is on Minefields.
There you go.
Melanie. So they continue that. And they had some other albums too on there. Oh, they released Toto XX, Toto 20, which was kind of a whole bunch of songs they dropped. By the way, I had read that. Have you heard the song? Have you heard the stuff off Toto 20?
No, I have not.
There's a song on there that's very piano based. It's called "Right Part of Me," and Bobby Kimball sings it. So it was recorded for these sessions.
Oh.
And got tossed aside. It is a really, really good song. Sounds like a song off Toto IV.
Huh.
Yeah.
I have to go listen to that.
Yeah, so if you like Toto, I mean, the first song was interesting when they were getting together for the Greatest Hits package, when they forced another singer on. Bobby Kimball was around. Joseph Williams was still around. And they brought Kimball back, and they recorded a song called Going Home. that leads that album off. Really good Toto song. But the record company didn't like it. And so they got cut off. But Joseph Williams wrote it. Kimball sang it. And then the whole album is kind of like that. They like a whole bunch of stuff is pulled off various albums, and they pulled so you've got stuff from the 70s, and then Right Part of Me, though, is a really good piano type song. I recommend it.
So if you had to choose your favorite Toto singer, who would it be?
Probably Kimball.
Kimball?
Yeah, probably Kimball. I could do without the mustache, but
come on, man. That's like his porn stash.
I know. What about you? You probably like Joseph Williams.
I like Joseph Williams.
Yeah. I remember that you really liked the seventh one.
The seventh one, yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph Williams, his vocals are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And you know he's John Williams' son, right?
Yeah.
Of Star Wars fame.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good reference.
That's a good trivia. It's a trivia question somewhere.
Yeah. He was doing backing vocals for some of the songs on Isolation. So he was around.
He was around.
Oh no, not Isolation. Sorry, he was when I was looking at the other album, I had flipped over. So, but he's in and out, and then Kimball came back, and then they decided to stick with Joseph Williams. So he is the permanent singer now.
Yeah, and that's the singer I saw when I saw him live.
Who'd you see him with?
It was, I don't recall a opening band. It was just them.
Yeah.
It was at a casino, River City Casino in St. Louis.
All right.
No opening band. I'm pretty sure there was no opening band. If there was an opening band, they must have been pretty bad because I do not remember it whatsoever.
Well, I mean, it's back in the older days when they were touring, they'd hit the small spots. It'd just be them kind of touring. And now the thing is they tend to group up together in these bands, and so then they're in arenas, which is fine. But I prefer to see them in smaller places.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them in a small place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then of course, if you go to Europe, they're a monster over there.
They're huge in Europe. Yeah.
Still as popular, I think, as they were back in the day.
It's kind of odd how that all works, like how Night Ranger was huge in Japan.
Yeah.
And still are. Toto, huge in Europe.
Yeah. If you watch some of the videos they have of where they've done live albums, and they've got a lot of them, and they do videos of that, and you see their concerts. So they're in these massive halls or arenas because they're so popular. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that is our Toto Isolation review. Any final comments?
If you appreciate great musicianship, and catchy songs, give this album a listen. It's worth the 41 minutes of your day to give this album a listen.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you like 80s songs around that time, maybe like the Journey stuff from Frontiers and things like that, then you would like this album.
Yep.
It is, if you go in and you want to hear Africa and Rosanna, you won't hear that on us much.
No, you will not.
You will not hear that. So, all right. Well, that is our wrap for Toto Isolation. We'll have to decide next. We're going to do another album review, or we go back to the list and pick a new topic.
We'll just go back to the list and we'll figure it out from there. But we'll do it very soon.
Yeah, we need to do it soon. We've been the holidays messed us up, and so we need to do it soon and get another one out. All right. Well, that is Toto Isolation. Recommend it. Go listen to it. Very unique cover, easy to find, and enjoy. So, and we get, look at that, we're under 40.
There you go. My wife keeps telling me we're too long, so shorter the better.
Cut it out. Okay. All right. Well, we like to talk, so that's okay. All right. That's going to be it for today. And we will be back again. This is Tales from the Cassette. We're reviewing all kinds of things from the 80s, 90s, and wherever. Oh, I knew there was one thing today I did see that I meant to tell you before I go on. I saw before coming on that Lillian Axe is releasing a new album this year.
Oh, good.
Announced it today, I think.
Yeah, but they don't have the same singer that I grew up with. Okay. It's a different guy.
I was excited because I saw that, and I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna be so pumped."
I'll listen. I'll give it a listen, but I'll hold judgment until I listen to it.
Okay. All right. Well, so this is Tales from the Cassette. We talk all things music. If you have any suggestions, feel free in the comments. As long as I remember to turn them on. And we have a X page. We have an Instagram page. We have a Facebook page. Like. We're on Spotify and YouTube. And someone told me after the last one that we need to be on Apple.
Apple.
Yeah. So I'm going to look to see if I can accomplish that. That's my goal for this.
Well, we always love comments. Someone made a comment on one of the episodes before. I don't know who they are, so it was kind of neat. You know.
We got to build up, and then once we get to a certain number, then we're going to go out and start reaching out to the artists.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe somebody from Lillian Axe or who knows? Even Donnie V, maybe from formerly of Enough's Enough. I mean, he could.
Yeah. Maybe from their road crew. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? We'll take whatever. We'll take whatever. So, all right. Well, we're going to cut it off because now we've gone over 40. We went too long. Until next time, I'm Jeff Beach.
I'm Joey Graves.
All right. Thanks for joining. Listen.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Share. Happy New Year. All right. I stopped it.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get it all uploaded and issue.